This video today is going to be about solving multiple step equations. It is basic algebra work. Some of the vocabulary that you'll be coming across is integers, combining like terms, distributive property, isolating variables, and solving equations. So the practice problems comes from CUDA software from Algebra 2, and it's called solving multiple step equations. So the first equation we're going to have is 4n minus 2n equals 4. Okay. So looking at the equation, we know we want to solve for n, and we need to get n by itself. First, what we're going to do is combine like terms because they're on the same side of the equal sign. And you'll see me use CLT for combining like terms. I can combine 4n minus 2n. 4 minus 2 is 2, and n. Okay, so this is where the 2n comes from, and we bring down the 4. Okay, 2n, anytime we have a number sitting right beside a variable, this is considered multiplication. And we want to do the opposite operation, which is going to be division. So we're going to divide 2 on both sides. 2 divided by 2 is actually 1, so it's just going to cancel out, and you'll have n equals 4 divided by 2 is 2. The second problem is 3 equals x plus 3 minus 5x. Okay, so we're solving for the variable x. The first thing we want to do is see what's on each side of the equal sign. So I have a variable of x, 1x, and a variable of negative 5x. So combining like terms, I'm going to do 1x minus 5x. Take the sign of the biggest number, it's negative. If the signs are different, you subtract. Those are integer rules for adding and subtracting. So when I combine 1x minus 5x, it's going to give me negative 4x. I'm going to bring down the other math and solve for x. Okay, to move x to the other side of the equation, we're going to do the opposite operation. So I'm going to have a negative 3 on both sides. Working left to right, 3 minus 3 is 0. Bring down your equal sign. 3 plus a positive 3 and a negative 3 is going to cancel. And we're going to bring down a negative 4x. Okay, still working to get x by itself. Negative 4x is set for multiplication, so we're going to do the opposite operation of division on both sides. 0 divided by negative 4 is 0 equals negative 4 divided by negative 4 is 1, so it's just going to cancel out and have an x. So 0 is going to equal x. Okay, next question is negative 12 equals 3 minus 2k minus 3k. So taking a look at this equation, seeing what's on each side of the equal sign, I have 2k's on the right side, so I'm going to combine the like terms. And I'm circling the negative sign with the 2k, and also a negative 3k. So with your integer rules, you always take the sign of the biggest number when you're adding and subtracting. The sign of the biggest number is a 3, so it's negative. If the signs are the same, you add them, so it's 5k. So we have negative 12 equals 3 minus 5k. Okay, we're still working to get k isolated by itself, so we're going to move the numbers away first. So I'm going to move negative 3 to the other side of the equal sign by doing the opposite operation. If there's no sign here, we assume that it's positive. Okay, working left to right, a negative 12 and a negative 3. If you add these two together, you take the sign of the biggest number If the signs are the same, you add. Bring down your equal sign. 3 minus 3 is going to cancel out, and we're just going to bring down the negative 5k. Okay, to get k by itself, we're going to do the opposite operation and divide negative 5 on both sides. Negative 15 divided by negative 5 is a positive 3. Negative 5 divided by negative 5 is 1, so it's going to cancel out. We're going to bring down k. The next problem is 6 equals negative 3 x plus 2. Okay, we have a lot going on the right side of the equation, so we're going to use the distributive property. And that's simply telling us if there is a number right beside the parentheses, we're going to distribute or multiply the number by each number or variable on the inside. So it'll look 3x, 3 times x, and negative 3 times 2. Okay, this is going to be negative 3x minus 6 once it's distributed through. So 6 equals negative 3x minus 6. We're still working to isolate the x by itself, so let's move the number away of negative 6 by doing a positive 6 on each side of the equal sign. So 6 plus 6 is 12. Bring down your equal sign and bring down your negative 3x. Negative 6 plus 6 is going to cancel out. Negative 3 with the x beside it is multiplication, so we're going to do the opposite operation, which is division on both sides of a negative 3. 12 divided by negative 3 is negative 4. Negative 3 divided by negative 3 is 1, so we're just going to bring down the x. Our next problem is 24 equals 6 parentheses negative x minus 3. You can always pause the video to give yourself time to try this on your own. Okay, the first step we need to do is get rid of the parentheses. Now we know this is not order of operations because there's not two numbers inside the parentheses. So we're going to be doing the distributive property again. It's going to be 6 times negative x and 6 times negative 3. This is a negative 6x, and 6 times negative 3 is a negative 18. So 24 equals negative 6x minus 18. Working to isolate the x, we're going to move the numbers away of 18 by doing a positive 18 on each side of the equal sign. So anytime you cross over the equal sign, you want to use the opposite operation of what you're moving. So 24 plus 18, 42. Bring down your equal sign, your negative 6x because you haven't done anything with it. And then negative 18 plus 18 is 0, so we're just going to cancel it out. Opposite operation of multiplication is division on both sides of a negative 6. 42 divided by negative 6 is a negative 7. Negative 6 divided by negative 6 is 1. Let's bring down the x. The next problem is negative 12 equals 2 plus 5v plus 2v. Okay. Looking on what's going on each side of the equal sign, I have two v's on one side. So I'm able to combine like terms of the two v's. So A positive 5 and a positive 2 is going to be a positive 7v. And bring down the 2, an equal sign, and a negative 12. Okay, we would like to have this v by itself as the variable. So we're going to do the opposite operation, which is a negative 2 on both sides, working left to right. A negative 12 minus 2, take the sign of the biggest number, which is negative. If the signs are the same, you're going to add. Two minus 2 is going to cancel. 7v comes down. We're going to divide 7 on both sides. Negative 14 divided by 7 is a negative 2. The 7 divided by 7 cancels to 1, and your answer is v equals negative 2. X plus 3 minus 3 equals negative 6. Here on the left side of the equal sign, I have two integers that we can combine. They're like terms. A positive 3 and a negative 3 is going to equal 0. They're just going to cancel each other out. So I'm going to bring down x equals a negative 6. Negative 1 equals negative 3r plus 2r. Again, we're looking for something similar on each side of the equal sign. So we have a negative 3r and a positive 2r. We're going to combine like terms. So negative 1 equals, take the sign of the biggest number. If they're different, subtract. It's going to give us negative r. Now remember, we're assuming there's a 1 in front of the variable when there's nothing there. This really looks like 1r. Okay, you do not want to end with a negative variable, so we're going to divide a negative 1 on both sides so we can eliminate the negative in front of the variable. Negative 1 divided by negative 1 is 1 equals negative 1 divided by negative 1 again is 1. Answer is going to be 1 equals r. Negative 3 parentheses 4r minus 8 equals a negative 36. Here we have a lot going on the left side. Because this number is sitting right beside the parentheses, I'm going to multiply it all the way through using the distributive property. So negative 3 times 4r is negative 12r. Negative 3 times a negative 8 is a positive 24. I'm going to bring down the negative 36. To move 24 to the left side and have our variables, to the right side, and have our variables on the left side, we're just going to subtract 24 on both sides. You have negative 12r. This cancels, equals. Take the sign of the biggest number. They're the same, so we're going to add. It's going to be 60. The opposite of multiplication is going to be division. So we're going to divide a negative 12 on both sides. Negative 12 divided by negative 12 is going to cancel to be 1. So we're going to bring down the variable. Negative 60 divided by negative 12 is going to be a positive 5. And our last question is 75 is equal to 3, parentheses, negative 6n minus 5. Okay, we're going to distribute the 3 throughout the parentheses. It's going to be 75 equals negative 18n minus 15. Opposite operation of moving 15 to the other side to try to isolate the variable by itself. It's going to give us 90 equals negative 18n. The 15s are going to cancel. A number sitting right beside a variable is considered multiplication, so we're going to do an opposite operation of division on both sides. 90 divided by a negative 18 is going to be a negative 5. 18s are going to cancel, it's going to be n. And that is it for the practice problems. Again, some of the vocabulary you want to be familiar with is how to solve integers, adding and subtracting, multiplying and dividing. When do you combine like terms? Using the distributive property, isolating variables, and solving equations. If you have any additional questions, please visit Youth2Reality.com. And also be sure to subscribe to the channel to receive notifications. And also tag us in the video if you post this to Youth2Reality_academics on Instagram.